The origins of the Java programming language. Uncle Bob. Hello, I'm Chris Thenis. I'm a KMP developer. Tech Support said they promised me they're coming out Tuesday. Close that up. And the end of the complaints. All right. The origins of the Java programming language by Uncle Bob. I've got mixed feelings on Uncle Bob. Go give DevTools Made Simple a like and subscribe. He's clipping these old conferences and releasing things, but he doesn't do any commentary. So I'm going to add the commentary for him. Let's keep going.
Used Java as a way to capture the mindset of programmers back in the early 90s, the mid-90s. They made this decision that the way you sell hardware, remember that Sun was a hardware company. They sold pieces of metal. The way you sell metal most effectively is to win the hearts and minds of programmers.
I guess that's one way. And they were all Unix house, and that's kind of, they were doing high-end workstation stuff. So yeah, if they didn't get the developers involved and make them want to use it, then yeah, they're not going to sell a lot of hardware. So let's keep going. And their hardware was all proprietary. So Java was a way to like get away from having to build their own C compiler. And I mean, I'm sure they did, but they wanted to get away from that and have a reason for developers to jump on their systems, which have this universal language, Java, that required no compiling step, and just you could run it anywhere. That was the big dream.
They discovered in the mid '90s that it was programmers who actually decided what hardware got bought.
Well, at that company maybe, but not in general. I mean, there yes, but in general no.
We often underestimate our power, but we were the deciders even then. And so
at that particular situation, yeah, but in general, no, Bob. Come on.
They thought, well, what better way to win the hearts and minds of programmers than to give them a language?
The hearts and minds thing, this is where I get the thing. I think he's like this, he's got the role of Patton here. He's a military general. He's using his heart. Gotta win the hearts and minds of the Vietnamese people. By mowing them down. But so yeah, he's got the he's got the military. He's like a military commander. Let's keep going.
And they hunted for a language that they could offer.
Okay.
Programmers, and at first they thought it would be
No. They invented a new language so they get away from the compile step. That compile step was killing everybody, man. Having to wait for the system to make a compiler in C for their particular chipset was super annoying. We was like super over that.
C++.
And every single application had to be recompiled for that particular thing. It was just a nightmare, man.
But then they realized they didn't own that as a monopoly, and it didn't fit with the idea of the internet well.
That was not the reason, Bob. The reason was because they needed a platform-independent, a software-based, not just-in-time compiling type of thing, where we could write the code and not have to worry about this damn compilation step. We could do one level up, which is what the same thing with KMP was doing. It was like trying to compile like to a common platform all the features that are necessary. And when you needed to go drop down, you could drop down whenever you want to. That was the same idea back then, Bob. It wasn't trying to get a monopoly, although every business wants that. And it wasn't fit the idea of the internet. No, what do you mean? The internet had been around for, 30 years by then? 20 years by then. Since, the 70s? So it was like the 60s? So it was the 80s, 90s? It was like 25 years. So the internet was fully going on. It was this other problem of having to compile a different app for every single computer out there and everyone that came along, and then trying to keep that all maintained. It was just a nightmare, dude.
And then this guy who worked for them, his name was James Gosling, waved around this language that he had produced a few years back, which was called Oak, and should have been thrown in the trash. But Sunset.
I mean, there's a lot of these. Every single one of these should have been thrown in the trash. And it's not really the thing that was like thrown in the trash. It was like how it was extended and matted onto, and just all kinds of weird shit put in there. And maybe they didn't understand it. And the documentation was terrible. And people made money off people getting confused and having to go to conferences, Bob, and get books, Bob, and tutorials and developer transformation weekends, and all that stuff. Because a lot of this stuff was half baked, man. And it was, well, it's just this what we're trying at the time. We didn't know what people were going to try and do with it. We didn't know they were going to try and make these big, crazy applications. And that's where Alan Kay comes in and goes, we knew. Still ignore Alan Kay, though. Everyone just ignores him. Even though the problems that we're having could have been headed off the past. We went Alan Kay's route as to boost the Strewstrup. But here we are.
That might be the language, and they promoted it out to the world as the language of the internet. That became Java.
Well, they did it as a platform independent language, not the language of the internet. That's the marketing spiel that they try to put on there. I'll bring all the languages the language of the internet. What are you talking about? JavaScript's the language of the internet. What are you talking about? PHP, Perl. What are you talking about, Bob?
Microsoft said, oh, what a good idea. So they produced their own Java compiler. Does anybody remember Visual J++?
I do.
And then Sun went to Microsoft and said, hey, you can't do that. And Microsoft said, oh, yeah, okay. And they changed a couple of keywords in the case of some functions.
It's just the Microsoft ripped them off again. This is what Microsoft does. They're not a very innovative company. They just, all these companies aren't, once they get big, they're not really innovative. They just rip people off. Let's keep going.
And they call it C#. And the two have, two are virtually identical languages because they were the same language. And then they've kind of divided ever since.
Yeah. I mean, okay. He didn't really give us a lot of help there. I think I filled in some more gaps that you probably weren't aware of unless you were alive at the time and going through it. All right. I guess that's about it for Bunko Bob for this one. Give me a like and subscribe, and I'll talk to you soon.